this is Manindrago from Batam. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
I'm Sela Sadakau from Vatukola. I only listen to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold Evanaka, I'm Vale and I'm working at Golden Crow Resort, and I love listening to Gold FM because it plays a really wide range of classic music.
I'm Saini Sakio from Kashmir Wotoka. I like Gold FM, but only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Good evening, I'm Amrita Priyadarshini and this is FBC News. Tonight, Fiji negotiates World Bank funding for TC Winston relief. More charged over FNPF fraud. And British Army resumes recruitment after a lapse of 9 years. The World Bank has opened an office in Suva. The move is seen as a gesture of confidence in the path of progress which Fiji has embarked on. Edwin Nund reports.
Fiji and the World Bank have resumed business after a lapse of 2 decades with a $50 million loan for road projects. Next on the list, funding the government's relief assistance programs.
We're also, just last week, negotiating a $50 million emergency budget support operation with the government to basically help the government or reimburse the government for some of the additional expenditures it's had over the last couple of weeks, in particular on making social transfer payments to vulnerable people in Fiji post-Cyclone Winston.
The opening of the World Bank office in Suva is not only a symbolic gesture, but also a strategic move to connect better with the Pacific and the world. Finance Minister Aya Syed Kayum says Fiji will use World Bank facilities for development purposes.
The whole idea is, ladies and gentlemen, to get all the development partners together to be able to focus on areas where we can get multiplier effects within the economy. Our major focus, of course, is creation of jobs. Apart from having a the legal and financial stability through a very sound regulatory framework, the idea is to focus on a multiplier effect in the economy, and that's what you'll see. The focus will be in the budget.
With the World Bank comes the International Finance Corporation, which funds private sector development programs and new business. One such project is the divestment of government shares in the Fiji Electricity Authority. Edwin Nund, FBC News.
A fourth person has appeared in court charged for her alleged involvement in defrauding the Fiji National Provident Fund. She is alleged to have colluded with a former FNPF employee. Tokasa Rainima reports.
Lepania Lawavo is charged with obtaining property by deception. She is alleged to be an accomplice of this woman, Rachel Matakimbau, a former employee of the Fiji National Provident Fund. These two women are alleged to have conspired to obtain $16,000 intended for recipients of the fund's cyclone relief assistance. Lawavo is 42 years old and doesn't have a job. Martha Kimbao faces 4 counts of obtaining property by deception. She's been ordered to surrender her passport and report to the Namboa police station every Saturday. Both women are to appear in court on July 13th. Meanwhile, 2 self-employed men who have been charged for taking advantage of the FNPF's Tropical Cyclone Winston relief assistance were also granted bail today. 32-year-old Amos Rongayawa and 22-year-old Gabriel Lendua signed a bail bond of $1,000 each and will report to the nearest police station every Saturday. The 2 men are alleged to have filed fraudulent applications under the scheme. The case will be recalled on the 8th of June. Tokas Reinima, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has once again made a plea to the global community to strengthen its response to the humanitarian challenge that we face today. He is attending the World Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul, Turkey, which aims to collectively address future humanitarian challenges. Alan Stoltz has the story.
Speaking at the opening of the Leaders' Dialogue of the World Humanitarian Summit, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama requested member nations to give the issue of climate change adaptation funding the urgency it deserves.
Fiji comes to the first World Humanitarian Summit determined to give Pacific Islanders a voice and contribute to this historic global debate. And in the meantime, Your Excellencies, I appeal to all on behalf of every Pacific Islander to provide us with the financial means to adapt and survive.
While informing the world leaders on the devastation caused by Tropical Cyclone Winston, Prime Minister stressed access to adequate levels of finance in the way of grants or loans will help build resilience to climate change.
Cyclone Winston killed 44 Fijians and ravaged 40,000 homes, public buildings, and infrastructure, leaving us with a damage bill of $1.4 billion. And while it could have been much worse because Winston spared our main tourism areas, Fiji is a stark reminder to the world of the new and frightening era that is dawning on us because of climate change.
The first ever World Humanitarian Summit is a global call to action by the United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon. The Secretary-General's agenda for humanity calls on global leaders to commit to 5 core responsibilities, one of which is to transform the lives of those most at risk of being left behind. Ellen Stalls, FBC News.
Fijians can again apply to serve in the British Army, which has resumed recruitment after 9 years. British High Commissioner to Fiji, Roderick Drummond, says the 200 positions are for specialised technicians. Kelly Vadala has the details.
Getting into the British Armed Forces won't be easy because the slots aren't specific to Fiji.
So they've opened up a space for recruitment for 200 people across the whole of the Commonwealth in particular specialised fields for which we have shortages in our recruitment. Those are mostly fairly technical fields, and it may create some opportunities for young Fijian men and women who would like to pursue that.
More than 3,000 Fijians have been recruited in the British Army up to 2007, and 1,400 of them are still serving under the Commonwealth banner. Drummond says this is a good opportunity for young men and women.
This may suit young men and women who have come out of the army at some point and wish to re-enlist, or it may suit people who have particular skills, for example as motor mechanics and other specialised technical skills that they may have gained in civilian life, and that might suit them for these technical fields.
Fijians have a long and proud history in the British Armed Forces, having made their mark in some of the most volatile parts of the world, including Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Quality assurance will facilitate continuous nurturing and improvement in all aspects of higher education in Fiji. President Major General Chioti Konrote was speaking at the opening of the International Network of Quality Assurance Agencies in Higher Education. The President says times are indeed challenging, not only for higher education, but for any other activity in the development of the public sector. He says Fiji's small size does not discount it from the influence of the change happening in higher education globally.
Higher education is undoubtedly central to economic and political development. It is the means by which our citizens can acquire the knowledge, the skills, attitudes and values that will equip them for life and for employment, whether by self-employment or through employment by others.
Coming up on FBC News, public consultations on 2017 budget moves to West. And television reality show wraps up shoot in Fiji. Stay with us.
FM rocks.
My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Hulamila. I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM. It rocks in Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back here with FBC News. Public consultations for the 2016-2017 budget will focus on the Western Division following the devastation of Tropical Cyclone Winston. Attorney General and Minister for Finance, Ayah Syed Qayyum, says the consultations, which used to be predominantly held in Suva, will now move west with the hope of getting a wider scope of feedback. Madhim Boletamana with this report.
A week before government's new financial year comes to an end and some 2 months away from the announcement of the 2016-2017 national budget, the state is calling on members of the public to make its submissions.
We think it's only appropriate, given in particular that we had the main cyclone Cyclone Winston, I should say, hit the Western Division. But I think we also would like to move some of these public meetings, from Suva to the Western Division, and in the future, of course, to the Northern Division too.
Last year's budget set at a little over $3 billion. Not wanting to give too much away, Syed Qayyum says there will be a huge focus on rebuilding from the remnants of Winston.
Of course, there will be a huge focus on reconstruction of public buildings, public infrastructure. That is always very important, and that is the norm after any major climatic event. Most countries have had that.
Another area of focus for government is sticking to its commitment to supporting the fight against the phenomena of climate change.
That there is a lack of capacity amongst generally officials in many countries to be able to navigate the climate finance regime. It is quite bureaucratic to be able to build that capacity, and Fiji is offered to host such a center to be able to develop that know-how and that knowledge.
The Minister of Finance will make his budget announcement for the 2016-2017 year in the first week of August. Madhim Boletamana, FBC News.
The economy is now expected to expand by 2.4% this year, a bit of a slower pace than the 3.5% forecast earlier. Reserve Bank Governor Barry Whiteside says the downward revision to this year's growth largely resulted from the recent natural disasters. The disasters caused huge damage to infrastructure, loss of output, especially in the agriculture sector, and reduced production time of businesses. Whiteside says the revised growth also takes into account an expected pickup in construction activity led by post-cyclone reconstruction and rehabilitation work. On the upside, strong tourism demand, growing inward remittances, and improved investor confidence should also support growth. The Select Parliamentary Privileges Committee is expected to convene next week to discuss the leak of confidential documents. With Parliament sitting from Monday, it's understood the committee members will discuss if there has been a breach of standing orders. Following deliberations, they will decide whether any disciplinary action is to be taken. The matter was brought to light by the Speaker of the House, Dr. Chico Luveni, after transcripts of the Standing Orders Committee were released to the media. And the Privilege Committee is chaired by the Deputy Speaker Ruveni Nandolo and includes Attorney General Ayah Syed Qayyum, Minister for Agriculture Inia Seri Ratu, Minister for Trade Fayaz Koya, and Opposition MPs Salote Randrondro and Semesa Karavaki. A US film production crew has wrapped up shooting a new reality TV series on the Garden Island of Taveuni. Tollbooth TV is well known for its production of unscripted programs. Eleanor Trangerview caught up with the crew in Taveuni.
Meet Tollbooth TV showrunner Kevin Lee, who has just finished filming a new reality TV series on the island of Taveuni with his 100-plus production crew.
We really fell in love with Taveuni because Taveuni is big enough that it has an airport and it has roads and it has ferry service. But it's relatively undeveloped. There aren't too many hotels. There's a lot of pristine wilderness. There's the national parks.
Some of Lee's Tollbooth TV production include The Real Housewives of Orange County, Extreme Makeover, Simple Life Murder, and many more. Their latest production, Stranded with $1 Million, Season 1, was shot in 10 locations on the island of Taveuni.
Stranded with $1 Million is a TV series that has 10 young Americans that we strand them in the wilderness on an island, in this case Taveuni, and they have to survive for 40 days, and they don't have any tools or or shelter or anything to help them survive. But what they do have is they have $1 million.
Executive producer in charge, John Davis, says the damage done by Tropical Cyclone Winston did nothing to dampen the spirit of shooting on the island.
We knew that we were going to have a lot of hurdles to overcome because of the cyclone, but we also felt like that our production was going to be able to then help benefit their lives by bringing in people and resources to really sort of help in the relief effort.
Davis says apart from Fiji's natural beauty, what drew them here is the tax rebate for the film industry. The production ran for almost 2 months, with shoots done at different locations throughout the island, including the famous Mboma waterfalls. Stranded with $1 million airs in the US in September, and depending on the ratings, season 2 is likely to be shot in Fiji as well. Eleanor Turangibio, FBC News.
Internal auditors are struggling to have their work recognized by their employers. This is one of the challenges highlighted at a masterclass for auditors held in Suva. Oceania Nations reports.
Board Chair of the Institute of Internal Auditors Fiji, Leitia Tuinamoala, says many employers don't acknowledge the work of internal auditors.
Sometimes it can be downplayed, but they provide, they're a pillar. They are they represent the board in terms of supplying information so they can know what's happening on the ground.
34 members of the audit committee were today reminded of their role during a workshop and how internal audit can perform at its peak.
What they need to know, what their role is, and the objective, and how we play into how we participate in the organization at large, and our positioning and our presentation and reporting and all of that, and also the governance aspect of it as well.
Past presenter Jason Masters also stressed the importance of independent quality assurance reviews of internal auditor functions.
Then looking at making sure we're focused on the key risks. It's often the operational areas where the largest risks to the organisations are. So making sure we've got an internal audit function that has the capability to look at the organisational operational risks, not just the traditional financial risks that I think are one of the key things that internal audit needs to be looking at.
The workshop ends yesterday. Oceania Nations, FBC News.
Sports is up next, and here's Jamie.
Thanks, Amrita, and hi again. Coming up in sports, Ryan reveals possible team for Rio. And Fijian weightlifters ready for Oceania Championships. This and more after the break.
Untuk talita kana warong na Bola FM number 2 na siya. Bola na Fiji, nada ko plasyo matayri, ngon may naanan bulo tabiuni, au satu ko nanti untuk talita ina warong na Bola FM.
Bola FM number 2 na seri.
Vodafone Fiji Sevens coach Ben Ryan has given his first hints about the players likely to make it to the Olympic Games in August. Although Ryan is keeping his options wide open, there are certain players who he says are top bets to make the cut. Vaishnav Prasad reports.
Series champions, Fiji. They've done it back to back.
The battle to get a nod into the Fiji Sevens dream team to the Olympic Games continues for the players, but coach Ben Ryan has revealed few names who could be in the final team.
Look, our DHL Impact Player of the Year, Chasavera Malua, has obviously been brilliant, and he's come from the fringes of the squad to the heartbeat of the squad. But the real core, the rock, is Osea Klinisau at playmaker. He can play at rover or 10. He's got the highest tackle rate in the entire competition. And with our playmakers like Nasila Sila and Jerry Tuwai, our outside backs now that are emerging, like Josh Tuisova that just bludgeoned his way onto the series in Paris, and Save Ruata, who I think everyone's already forgotten about, yet has been a star performer for us.
Other players who have been in form are Pio Tuai, Aisake Kotonimbao, Apisai Domolailai, Semi Kunatani and Leone Nakarawa.
We've got no key injuries, we've come through the whole season, we're battle hardened, and now it's about putting that gloss into the last 7 weeks of preparation.
With abundance of talent in the team, it will surely give Ryan a good headache to name the final 12.
We started really well, won Dubai, and then picked up some tournament victories in the middle, and then had a good strong finish that just took everybody else away from us. 3 consecutive finals was good, 9 out of 10 semi-finals or better, huge consistency, and we've also built this depth where we've got around 20 players now fighting for 12 spots in Rio.
By defending the series title, our national team has shown they are on the right path to the road to gold in Rio. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
A grand celebration is planned for the Fiji Sevens team at Ratusukuna Park tomorrow. There will be cash bonuses, gifts in kind and incentives given for players and officials alike. Vashnil Prasad again with the details.
Suva's Ratusukuna Park will be jam-packed with thankful fans celebrating Fiji's back-to-back series titles in the World Rugby Series. Apart from $75,000 collective bonus, there are more surprises in store.
We have a number of corporate houses that have come on board to give us prizes and gifts that we will present to the players. Vodafone, being the major sponsor, has also got a major surprise for the players, as well as our partner sponsor, Fiji Airways, has also got a surprise.
Fans will have a chance to meet their Sevens heroes and be part of celebrations.
The ground itself, we have a lot of freebies and giveaways for the fans. We have a specially printed poster for the occasion for the Sevens team, which the fans are able to get for free, and they can use to get autographs from the players as a remembrance.
For those who can't make it to the Ratusukuna Park, FBC TV will bring live coverage of the celebration at 4 p.m. tomorrow.
No, FBC was there last year when we first won the series, after so long, and this again, the FBC team, the FBC TV team, as well as the Sports Lounge team will be on hand joining the team.
The bonus payout is inclusive of the World Series win, a final finish in Paris and 4th place finish in London. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Host Lambasa will play Nandrunga on the opening day of this year's Vodafone Fiji Fact. The defending champions take on the Stallions in the last match of day 1 at 7:30 p.m. at Sobrel Park on the 17th of next month. In other matches on the first day, Suva plays Lautoka at 1 p.m. Ndreketi battles Nandi at 3 p.m. after which the opening ceremony takes place at 5 p.m. Pool matches continue at the same venue on the next 2 days. The semi-finals and final will be played 2 weeks after the pool matches at venues yet to be confirmed. The Vodafone Fiji football side's first opponents at the Oceania Nations Cup, New Zealand, are optimistic heading into the tournament. The All Whites have named a strong squad, indicating the importance of the tournament. The Oceania Nations Cup is also the second stage qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup.
It's been a long time since we've been together, and it's now our first official significant milestone in our campaign, and the rewards are massive. It's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. These guys.
Fiji plays New Zealand at 6 p.m. on Saturday, and you can watch that match live on FBC TV. The Oceania Weightlifting Championships are getting underway at the Vodafone Arena in Suva right now. With 9 Olympic spots on the line, Fijian lifters only have the next 5 days to book a spot to Rio, Brazil. Rohit Deo tells us more.
Ready for a week of intense rivalry, Fiji weightlifters have called on locals to come out in numbers and support their bid to win the championship.
19 countries will be deliberating on the progress of weightlifting in the region, and also planning for the future, awarding of future events like the Oceania Championships for 2017, 2018, 2019, and also the International Weightlifting Federation will be disseminating information about events like the World Junior Championship, World Youth Championships, and coming up Olympic Games.
Oceania Weightlifting also held its annual congress in Suva today to decide on future competitions.
Support your Fiji boys. Manueli Tulo will be lifting straight after the opening ceremony, and together with Mama Ganga and Sitiveni Nakuse, and they need your support, because you know what, with the crowd support they can lift another 5 kg, 10 kg extra, and we need that support because this is about Rio qualification.
The 5-day event begins at 7 p.m. at the Vodafone Arena. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
That's it from Sports Tonight. Amrita is up next with business.
Well, it seems the big excitement for everyone these days is the latest in cell phone wizardry, and Apple usually is in the lead. iPhone users can now upgrade to the latest version, the iPhone SE. Sainiani Boila tells us more.
Vodafone Fiji manager dealers Avichal Prasad says customers' demand for the new edition is high as it enters the Fiji market. Prasad says iPhone SE makes the simplest task more fun.
The best thing about this phone is actually the phone is small, but it leaves large. What I mean is it's a 4-inch phone with the revented design structure and which has a 12 megapixel of camera.
The brilliant Retina display phone is powered by a custom display chip that allows it to flash 3 times brighter than usual. Prasad says customers' response is positive.
The response has been really good. We have received a lot of feedback, and not only that, if you visit our website or our FB page, there's a lot of queries about these phones on social media.
The new iPhone SE was launched today in all Vodafone outlets around the country. Sainiani Boila, FBC News.
Fine weather prevailed over most parts of the country today. It was a warm day around the country with most centres crossing into the 30s. Lambasa finished the day at 30 degrees while Savu was a low of 27. Tomorrow's forecast is for isolated afternoon or evening showers over most places. As for Thursday, brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, it should be fine apart from isolated afternoon or evening showers. Recapping the headlines, Fiji negotiates World Bank funding for TC Winston relief. More charged over FNPF fraud. And British Army resumes recruitment after a lapse of 9 years. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. On to our poll question. This week we ask, is salt intake becoming a major health concern? To answer, visit our FPC website. Well, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizens@fpc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page, FPC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FPC News or hashtag FPC News. You've been watching FPC News. Good night.
आपको खरगंगा की रंजिला का नमस्कार। रेडियो फिजी की सुंदर सुंदर यादों का खजाना एकदम बचपन के दिन याद करा देते हैं।
हमारा नाम जोनी नायडू है, हम रहता है मलोलो में और हम टैक्सी ड्राइवर है। हम सब टाइम अपन टैक्सी में रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनता प्रोग्राम।
हम सिंगाटोका के हैं, हमारा नाम है रोजी। हम लोग यहाँ पे रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनता है।
राम राम, मैं रेमस प्रसाद बोलता हूँ, तब होता हूँ कोई रहता हूँ। मैं जब भी सुना रेडियो फिजी 2 ही सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन।